to the Toledo Rockets podcast. I am your host, Brian Nowicki. Today's episode, I'm actually recording on Tuesday evening, February 14th. It'll go live on Wednesday morning. So February 14th is Valentine's Day, so happy Valentine's Day out there to everyone. But before I actually start, just wanted to recognize what happened at Michigan State University's campus last night. It's definitely a tragedy, shooting. Multiple people have died. And just want to say that this kind of thing really is very upsetting, happens way too often. You're seeing it in campuses across the country. And it's obviously not just a thing that happens at high schools or colleges or anything like that. It happens other places as well, but just sad to see it, and hope that everybody's able to mentally and physically recover at Michigan State as best as possible from this tragic event. All right, so from there, let's go on to the episode. So like I said, I am actually recording this on Tuesday evening, shortly before the basketball game, the men's basketball team hosting Miami University. The Red Hawks are 8-17 overall, 2-10 in the MAC, and of course, Toledo has had a great year. They are 10-2 in the MAC, 19-6 overall. So looking for that 20th win of the season, in a tie with Kent State right now at 10-2 at the top of the MAC. And this is definitely a game that Toledo should win. They did play Miami earlier at Miami, the end of January, and won 81-78. So a bit of a close game. Another one of those games though where Toledo just seems to figure out how to win games, and that's what happened there. So hopefully this game won't be quite as close tonight at Savage Arena. So that's that game, and then there's just 5 more regular season games left. Going with the game Saturday at Bowling Green, main rivals. So good position for Toledo, looking at trying to get their 10th straight victory. They won 9 straight games, so it'll be a great game here this evening. But today in the episode, I wanted to really talk more about football. And first of all, there was a commitment in the 2024 class for Toledo earlier today that I wanted to bring up. 3-star quarterback Caleb Osborne committed this morning. He's out of Waterford High School in Michigan. He's 6'4", 200 pounds. He picked Toledo over Central Michigan. Also has had some interest from Michigan, but the only other offer at this point was Central Michigan. And he's also a very good basketball player. He's playing on the basketball team in high school right now. Considered a pretty good basketball and football player. Could be recruited for either position, either team, right? But Toledo's recruited him for football to play quarterback. And he's a dual threat quarterback type prospect, and he is committed for the 2024 recruiting class. All right, so the other news on football that I really wanted to focus on today is Jason Candle. So we talked a little bit about his contract extension a few weeks ago, and then there was rumors that came out about him being a candidate at Miami Hurricanes and even Notre Dame. And just last week, so about mid to late last week, he informed Hurricanes that he was staying in Toledo. So he turned down the verbal offer that he had to be their offensive coordinator. Since then, this morning news have come out that Miami is expected to hire Shannon Dawson as their new offensive coordinator. He was the offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach at Houston, the Houston Cougars, this past season. Um, so that pretty much seals up the whole Miami thing with Candle. 2 years in a row, he's been offered offensive coordinator position there, um, and he turned it down. Pretty much, from what I understand, after getting the extension this year. Notre Dame has looked like they're kind of going another direction. There's talk that he has also informed Notre Dame that he's staying at Toledo. So it looks like, from all intents and purposes, that Jason Candle is, after maybe at least looking a little bit, he is staying here at Toledo as the head coach. Um, One of the things that was brought up with Miami uh, had to do with Candle's extension, and there were some people saying that he got a raise, that he was going to make more, and then other people were saying, well, no, if you look at that, he's actually making less. So I'm going to dig into this a little bit here. I don't have the actual numbers right now with me, but his base pay is actually slightly less, slightly lower than what it was. And this allowed there to be more money available for him to give to assistants for pay raises. And this is something, second year in a row, that he's done. Last year, he actually took a bit of a cut for the season to give pay raises to his coordinators. And here we are in this new extension that he got. He lowered the base pay so that there was a little bit more money available for pay raises to his assistants. But there are some nice incentives in this contract for Cando that could mean higher overall pay for him. And this is if the program, achieves certain successes, right? Um, you know, MAC title, bowl game victory, 9 wins in the season, those kinds of things, right? So there's better incentives than what he had in the previous contract, so that he could potentially make more in a year than what he did before, even though the base salary is slightly lower. So it is a pretty good deal for him. And then, like I've said before, when we were talking about the extension, the thing with the 9 wins, if he gets 9 wins in the season, and another year is added to the contract, to the extension, and that's a huge thing that really shows, the chance for job security if you're winning, right? And it also shows to recruits that um, the the university is committed to that coach and keeping him here long term. And it shows that the coach is looking long term within the university as well. So that's a pretty cool thing there. Um, there was really a lot of talk about Miami this year. Last year, it didn't seem like there was as much talk about the Miami position, the offensive coordinator position for Cando. And this year, it just seemed like there was a lot more talk, a lot more rumors, and so forth. So I think that this extension was really important, and the extension was the main reason that he did decide to stay at Toledo. So that's a key piece, to look at. Toledo Athletic Director Brian Blair just it was a pretty strong contract extension to keep Jason Candle, and he's betting that this is the right move in keeping Candle, and it's going to help the program continue to grow. And as I've talked more recently about it, I think this is a good thing to keep Candle here, as long as you can. He's already, I believe it's third in the all-time list for head coaches at Toledo for wins. Within a couple of years, he's probably going to pass Gary Pinkel as the all-time winningest coach at Toledo. In about 2.5 years or so here, I'm thinking. I don't have the exact numbers right now, but I believe he is 23 or 24 wins away, so somewhere in there, probably about 2.5 years. And he's going to pass Tom Amstutz probably this year. I think he's only a few wins away from his total. So, it it makes a lot of sense that Jason Cando signed the contract, extension a few weeks ago, and that he's going to be here long term in my eyes. And Brian Blair thought so too. And I think you're already seeing it, like with the three-star quarterback that committed for next year's class. Um, he's done a great job recruiting. Really, even when he was an assistant coach here, he was doing a great job of recruiting. And then as the head coach, since he's been the head coach, he's had most of the time he's had the top class in the MAC. Not every year it's been the top class in the MAC, but a lot of times he has. And his recruiting is going to continue to go well. And um, it's not just him as the head coach. A lot of it has to do with assistants as well. He's got some really good assistants, and they recruit very well as well. So, um, and then the other piece of it, like I've said before, Kendall is rather young as a head coach, and each year he's gaining more and more experience. And I think that you're going to see over the next couple of years of this contract that he's going to continue to get better and better with his coaching decisions, his in-game decisions, and so forth. We've already seen that he was able to recognize some of the issues that were happening with the defense a few years ago, and bringing in new coordinators and coaches and new philosophy to the defense. You've seen what has happened in the last couple of years. This past fall, the MAC championship was basically won because of the defense. The defense has gotten so much better, and that's been a key in the last few years is working on improving that defense. Something that has been needed going into this offseason is the offensive line. I've talked about that a lot. And I've even seen articles in the Blade newspaper about it. And this is definitely a focus now, is to improve the offensive line. And, there were a couple of transfers coming in from other colleges this year. Some good recruits, freshmen that'll be coming in as freshmen. So that, upgrading the talent there and doing, some other work, and building, with some of the young guys that have come in the last couple of years, building them up through the strength program and strength and conditioning and so forth. So it'll be interesting to see how much of an improvement there is in the fall. It's going to be a really good team, a pretty loaded team. The offense is pretty stacked. And if the offensive line improves some, it's going to make the offense even scarier to play against. And I think, so 2023, we should see an improvement on the offensive line. There should be, compared to what we saw in 2022, that's, a second year now of focus, should make that offensive line really good. Some of these good young players getting experience in that strength and conditioning program now for a couple of years should be at the point that the offensive line should be much improved. So I expect 2024 to be a very good offensive line, just like kind of what we saw where really it took about 2 years here for the defense. You see an improvement the first year, the second year you really see the improvement. That's what I expect to see from the offensive line. So, fall 2023, I think we're going to see an improvement. And then 2024 is when we're going to really, really see a strong offensive line again at Toledo, which is something that, traditionally Toledo had done very well with their offensive line and was highly regarded. And over the past few years, that has kind of fallen off a bit because of a few different things, right? Like I talked about it before, injuries and just some technique that didn't, it seemed, I don't know so much the technique, or if I should say, the players seemed to step slow with their footwork, right? Their technique. And it looks like that's being worked on, and there's an improvement there. There's some better talent coming in. I think that the talent did drop off a bit in the offensive line, and that definitely made a difference. And in the last couple of recruiting classes, there's been some good young talent coming in for the offensive line. And then with having those two transfers that have some college experience and have been in a college strength and conditioning program now for a couple of years, that's big. And I think that, we'll really see that in the fall. So it'll be exciting to watch. So, and the other thing, we're mid-February here. We're not that far away from spring football, right? Spring football coming up here in about a month. So it'll be interesting to see how some things look there. And the other thing, I guess, to look at is, I've talked about this before. I really think that there should be a big battle at the quarterback position between Tucker Gleason and DeQuan Finn. They both got to play last year. Finn obviously was, the starter at the beginning of the season and played very, very well. He's still young and makes some mistakes, but he's got a good arm. Very mobile, can run, real good dual threat, right? And then because of some injury, Tucker Gleason came in, and Gleason showed that he has a really strong arm himself. Pretty accurate, at first. When he first came in, he wasn't as accurate, and then he got a little more comfortable out there playing, and he was more accurate. But he also showed that he can be mobile. And I think he was deceptively mobile to teams because teams expected Finn to run at different times and they expected it from him. But I don't think they knew what would be coming from Gleason and they didn't expect mobility from Gleason. And he showed it in the games that he played in. And, even though Finn was hurt, he came in and he really helped the team to make it to the MAC championship game. If it wasn't for the abilities that Gleason showed, they wouldn't have made it to the MAC championship game last year. So I think as we go into the fall, both players are going to be given the opportunity to show what they can do. And it'll be a nice battle to see, anytime you have somebody that you're going to be battling against, it makes you step up your game and then you get better, right? So it's good for both Finn and Gleason to battle each other. And I think it's going to be a very competitive battle here this spring. And we'll see how it goes from the spring and the summer. You might have someone that's kind of your leader at the position, or they might still be battling out for a while as we get ready for the fall. So that's going to be interesting to see. I look forward to that. And, it's great that we still have Jason Candle as the head coach, in my opinion. He's done a lot for this program, and I think he's going to continue to. And he's got a team that's coming back that is probably going to be one of the favorites to win the MAC next year. If he can win back-to-back MAC titles, that would be his third MAC championship. He's already in pretty good company for UT head coaches with 2 MAC championships. I believe there's only one that has won 3, so that would put him in that company. And that's Frank Lauterbur won championship in 1967, 1969, and 1970. So that's pretty good company, And I fully expect Jason Candle to continue to improve as head coach, and I expect that this team in 2023 is going to be one of the favorites to win the MAC. So it'll be pretty exciting to see. So that's pretty much it for the episode today. Probably in our next episode, we're going to recap some of the latest happenings in basketball for men's and women's. Like I said, just before or just after recording this episode, the UT men's basketball game is going to be starting in Savage Arena against Miami. The women play tomorrow. So we'll have a couple games there to recap and look at how things are looking in the standings and potential seeding as we get closer to the MAC tournament there for both the men's and women's teams. So thank you for joining, and we'll see you in the next one.